I grew up in the most notorious neighborhood in Toronto, Jane and Finch. And my story didn't quite start like in a classroom or on a basketball court. It started in survival mode. I was 12. At 12 years old, most people are learning how to shoot a basketball. They're practicing football, practicing karate, and even taking piano. I was learning how to survive. And I know that might sound a bit dramatic to us all, but that was our reality. One week, I'd be playing outside with my friends, hooping, doing regular kid shit, having sleepovers, and the next week, they're gone. No warnings, no explanations, just gone. And that loss never really leaves you. Let me be clear, Jane and Finch is not that big of a community. It's a couple of square blocks. So when something happens to someone, you feel it. We all feel it. I lost 4 friends in 6 months. How does a 12-year-old process that? He doesn't. You just survive. I learned how to read people before they even said a word, using emotional intelligence really before I even knew what that was. In my neighborhood, an interaction can literally be a matter of life and death. And again, that is not paranoia, that's reality. And somehow I was able to navigate the loss, uncertainty, pain, and somehow I made it through. Fast forward 6 long years from me being 12 years old and having the most traumatic experiences of my life. It's now 2018, and I graduate high school. Do I get an applause for that? No. So kind. It was a moment I was proud of, my community was proud of, my family was proud of, but life didn't wait too long to test me again. Just 1 week later, after that graduation, that euphoric feeling we all just shared, I was arrested. And let me tell you, like, being from Jane and Finch, I've seen guns, whatever. But that night, that was the most amount of guns that I've seen in my entire life pointed at me at one time. Like, it felt like the entire force was there. I would say, not even going off of this paper, I felt that moment, in that moment I felt the full weight of the system. The same system that 1 week ago underfunded my high school had all the resources in the world to overfund the police. And I remember being in like the back of that cruiser that night, hands behind my back, handcuffed, and just glancing over at the screen and seeing every detail about me, like my name, my height, my eye color, my address. They had everything about me already in the system. It was like, almost like this was my personal ride to prom, and this was no ride to prom. And in that moment, I came face to face with the school to prison pipeline. It is very real. The school to prison pipeline is an ideology that particular youth are funneled from system to system in society. And what that looked like in my case was cops in school hallways instead of school counselors, or police in close proximity to like places of learning instead of child and youth workers. The funnel is intentional, and The ideology is systemic. I didn't go to jail to find my freedom, but somehow I did. Funny enough, I made a 180 turn after this experience, and I turned my pain into purpose. So the same energy that I was once pouring into the notorious Jane and Finch and surviving that, I began pouring that into thriving, transformation, and going from the school to prison pipeline to a pipeline that is more aligned with love, positivity, and bliss. Shameless plug. So I returned to my home, Jane and Finch. Not the, again, notorious Jane and Finch, and not to just deal with the negativity that came there, but to build something different, to offer something different to my community. I started working with grassroots organizations like Generation Chosen, the Community Healing Project, and in a nutshell, they work to give youth the tools to navigate life and mental proclivities in marginalized communities. That's how I met Asante, and arguably why I'm here speaking, sharing space with you all tonight. I also became the vice president of City of Toronto's Youth Council in Ward 7, and we advocated for real change. And not only did we advocate for that change on behalf of our community, we got it. I remember convincing Toronto City Council to install more streetlights in our community in Jane and Finch, North York, Ward 7, the Black Creek area. And for some of us, it might not sound like a very big deal, but that is the difference between a person getting home safely. That's like one less mother worrying about if is her child gonna have a safe journey home. That's one lady feeling safer on her walk home because there's more light outside. So again, we advocated for real change. I also continued my education, and through all this turmoil and navigating trials and tribulations, I continued my education. Not only did I continue my education, I also found bliss, and I founded Bliss in that process, my organization. As was mentioned before, Bliss is an acronym for Black Life is So Sweet. And yes, we are a creative clothing brand that connects philanthropy and culture and fashion, but I say, you can call me crazy, we sell an intangible feeling that you can achieve, and that you are more than your trauma. So despite trials and tribulations, we triumph. And something I often like to say is, when they gave us scraps, we made gumbo. And for those of us who don't understand, maybe we can talk about that after this. And that's post-traumatic growth. Similarly to when I look back at my journey, I don't just see moments that almost broke me. I don't only remember being in the back of the cruiser, but I remember building blocks that shaped the individual who I am. Going off of the coattails of what Asante said, even the hardest of soils can breed something beautiful. So these things all became building blocks, and all to say that I am not just a product of Jane and Finch, but I am proof that something beautiful can grow from the hardest of soil. Roses can grow from concrete. And bliss is what happens when we don't just survive the fire, but we emerge out of it with something to offer our community, our past selves, someone who might have been going through what we successfully navigated. Because we should know our struggles are really just a roadmap for someone else. And that is the importance of coming together, sharing stories, and creating safer spaces for us to all relate with one another. So I will leave you all with that. Something healing, hopefully, something loving, and something sweet. Thank you.